Hey Clashers, we are getting a new event in Clash of Clans, and this event is different than every single event we had so far. Tomorrow the event starts and you have a new event building on the top left where you can access the overview of the new event. You can take a look at what type of things you can unlock with progressing in this pass as free to play or as someone who's actually paying money. You can this time though not unlock event troops, instead you can unlock the super troop, the super dragon. And this means you can unlock this one completely for free, so you don't have to spend the dark elixir. But what is the best thing about this is that Supercell is somewhat removing with this the true limitation of the super troops. What means on top of the super dragon you can activate 2 other super troops, and this means you can get up to a total of 3 super troops overall. You don't have to pay for the super troop, the super dragon. For the other super troops you still have to spend the dark elixir. If you want to unlock everything in the event, you have to, this time around, don't destroy certain buildings, you have to actually get stars. If you get 1 star, 2 star, 3 star, you get more and more rewards and obviously get those faster progression in the pass itself. With getting, for example, a 2 star, you get then up to 300 of the ice cubes. An important disclaimer, and this is why this event is called the Super Dragon event. It is with using the super troop, the super dragon, you're getting bonus ice cubes. So take a look at this. We have gotten overall a 2 star, which means we're getting 300 of those cubes. And we get a bonus of 200 or 150 or something. And if you actually 3 star, the bonus is getting higher as well for using the super dragons, which is overall really cool. You're getting rewarded for actually 3 starring and obviously using the super dragon. I will obviously as well showcase to you the best strategies you can use for this event to proceed faster through the pass. And if you want to have even more rewards than just the free to play players, and you want to have more ores to unlock the new equipment, for example, and upgrade it, you can make sure that you're getting the event pass. With iTzu, you can support the channel. And as always, we have a ton of rewards you can unlock, but as well the new epic equipment. This epic equipment is for the Warden, but should you upgrade it? Should you actually unlock it? That's the big question. Because this equipment is different than what we had so far. But let's take a look. So this equipment is sending a huge fireball to the closest defense, which looks pretty strong, right? On the highest level, it's dealing up to 4,100 damage in a crazy radius. It is really, really nasty and it looks insane. Like, let's be honest, the graphics looks incredible. But how strong is that actually? Because in the little clip you have just seen, well, it's one-shotting out of the buildings. But what is the reality? Let's do a reality check. Because if you take a look at this, most of the key defenses are surviving. And another thing is that whenever there's new equipments, those equipments, the question is, does they synergize well with the already strongest equipment which the hero has? For the Barbarian King, for example, it has to synergize with the Epic Gauntlet, because the Gauntlet is by far the best equipment for the Barbarian King. If something does not synergize well with that one, it's bad for the other equipment. For the Warden, it's the Eternal Tome. So the question now is, does this fireball synergize well with the Eternal Tome? With the dragons, for example, you're somewhat destroying the pathing for your super dragons, which is not that optimal. So the question then is, should you use it both together? Is it good enough to replace the invincibility? I don't think so, but it has some good sides as well, because take a look at this comparison. On the right side we have the healing tome, on the left side we have the fireball. And the big bonus thing for the fireball is it one-shots the ice golems. That's right, it's turning the ice golems into, well, non-ice golems anymore, because it's setting them on fire. It's one-shotting them, which can get a lot of value, especially for ground attacks. So for ground attacks, it might be worth it. Or is it actually? Because let's face it, in the end, both of those attacks tripled. So both of them are achieving 3 stars. So it's not like a big game changer of things, making things possible, which were not possible before. The healing tome is still an incredible equipment, and the fireball, it really does not fit that well the Warden overall. But what are the best use cases for this equipment? Well, in my opinion, there's 2 use cases where this equipment can be really, really solid, and better than maybe the options and the alternatives. First off, we have a super archer blimp, or any type of blimp to be honest. We're using the invincibility and the fireball. And as soon as we're using the equipment, take a look at that. We're dealing quite a bit of damage. Again, we have to send some loons to finish off the buildings which were only getting damaged, like the key defenses, Scatter, Expo, Inferno Tower, and so on. But otherwise, it's doing pretty good, and you can land them with a Super Archibald wherever you want. The big downside of this is, though, if you do not want to use the Warden ability for the Super Archibald, for example, Legend, where you cannot switch everything around, the Fireball might be kind of wasted, and for example, the Rage Aura or the Healing Aura or something else might be a better option. So this equipment is feeling really weird because it's a damaged equipment for a supportive hero. And this is making this a little bit strange to use. In my opinion, the by far best use case is this strategy. That's right, that's my 9 healer strategy. And I have to be honest, I found this strategy when I was actually testing this equipment. But then I actually used it as well without the equipment, which still worked decently. But with this Fireball equipment, this strategy is getting insane. The reason why this works so well together is because of the synergy between the Rage Aura and the Fireball of the Warden. The reason is overall why this works so well is because you do not add the Warden with other troops. In most of those cases, you have the Warden as a support hero with Super Bowlers, Super Witches, Electro Dragons, Super Dragons. Wherever you're adding the Warden, it is working as a supportive tool to use the Eternal Tome and the Healing Tome and Rage or something to support your troops. And that's why he is the best hero in the game, because he's just so good at supporting the troops. But with this strategy, he's becoming a one-man army. And this is one of the only strategies where I feel like where it's really working with this synergy. And this is kind of weird. So the question is it then worth it to kind of upgrade it for this one strategy? Overall, Warden Walks, this equipment is great. But again, as I said, what do you prefer? To have a quicker Warden Walk with a Fireball as a Super Bowler attacker and then have no protection with Super Bowlers? That won't work. So overall, really tough question of how good this equipment actually is. Obviously, in the next couple of days, I will upload an updated guide and tier list for the equipments. But overall, right now, I have to say, I don't see that equipment being that crazy good just because of how good the existing equipment of the Warden already are. But I would love to hear what your ideas are for this equipment. How would you actually use this Fireball? And do you think it's better than the alternatives like the Eternal Tome or the Healing Book or whatever there is? That's the main question. For this strategy, I have to say I will max it for sure on my main account just because this strategy right now is by far my favorite. And it makes this specific strategy 10 times stronger. Because the Fireball can actually one-shot defending heroes as well, which is a big problem for any Warden Walk. But you can one-shot the Queen and the Royal Champion, for example, with the Fireball, which is kind of crazy. But as well, enough about the epic equipment. I have shown my ideas of how you can use it. Let me know what you think, but as well, you want to know how you can quickly get through the event pass and unlock everything possible. For that, I highly recommend to you use the Super Dragons, and I will show you the 2 best Super Dragon armies. Again, I know I will showcase this as a Town Hall 16, but remember, you can use this strategy as well as Town Hall 15, 14, and so on. Because if you're a lower town level, just remove some loons. Remove a Baby Dragon or something, and you will be totally fine. The idea of this strategy is staying the same. The equipment as well, I personally just love the Earthquake Boots. If you're not the biggest fan of that, use Vampire Stash or whatever you prefer and have the best results with. I will always go for sure with the Giant Gauntlet and the Earthquake Boots with any air attack because I think it's just a great combination. The Queen using the Frozen Arrow equipment and the Healer Spawn equipment is just amazing synergy, and then the Warden is using Eternal Tome and the Healing Tome. Really good to go through the Town Hall, for example, or have whatever problems getting removed because you have so much healing in place. Royal Champion, again, that's up to you. My personal preference is the new Haste Vial with the Royal Gem, but you can for sure use the Shield, for example, if you have that on a higher level. Don't worry, it's still totally fine. As well, the new spell, the Overgrowth spell. I personally, I'm a huge fan. I'm still trying to learn it a little bit better because I think it's a high skill thing where the timing is a really important overall factor. But if you're saying you don't have it leveled, unlocked, whatever, use just 2 freezes instead. That works totally fine as well and will get the same result, even though I feel like the Overgrowth has more potential, especially if the Eagle utility, for example, is on the back end. You can as well turn sweepers, like freeze them up and turn them invisible. So you have a lot of options of outplaying the other base. But that's for sure my easy recommendation when it comes down to the super dragons, and you don't need any other super troops either, which makes it kinda cheap on the Dark Elixir because the super dragons are already boosted. If you want to have the more strategic approach, I highly recommend the Queen Charge Recall with the super dragons. This one is really cool because you have the option of now adding the sneaky goblins for funneling your queen and the super wall break, so get your queen into the base in the important positions to deal all of the damage which is necessary. The idea of this strategy is pretty much to create pathing for your super dragons and to fly, if possible, behind from the sweepers. But again, if it's not really possible, you have the overgrowth spell to turn those sweepers useless. On this specific case, just imagine this base is like an oval cake. I'm getting a little bit hungry, but that's fine, like, it's a cake, and we'll take down one corner of this cake to create the pathing. For this example, we're taking down the town hall, because this creates really nice pathing on the flank of that town hall. Then you're going to recall that queen. By the way, if you do not have like a decently upgraded recall, you can get that in the clan castle as well. That then should be able to give you a nice opportunity to play this strategy already on lower town level, like for example town hall 13 or something like that, which is then a nice thing. We're recalling our queen now to set up the pathing even better, because we have now taken down the town hall, and now we're taking down the bottom side of this base, which then creates the pathing from this left side where the workshop is, right into the core of this base. The queen is on this case not using the invisibility vial, so you have to make sure that you're protecting her, and this is where the king is then coming in. You can use the king as protection for your queen to make sure that she's not having too much damage on her. So if there's ground expo, use the king to actually tank those like I'm doing right now. On this one, otherwise, we're sending the electric dragons into the core. Whenever there's danger, just use the warden ability, try to cover as much as possible, and yet again, we're using the Eternal Tome with the Healing Tome together. In a lot of cases, this is just the best equipment combination for a lot of different strategies. And again, the Fireball is, as well in this one, not as great, because as I have showed you already in the beginning, it's kind of messing up the pathing of the super dragons, and it's getting really unpredictable. Again though, where I feel like the Fireball is really nice if you're doing ground attacks, but ground attacks is giving you less ice cubes, which means a lesser, like, way slower progression in the event. Getting back to this, I have used the overgrowth spell way too late, and this is what I mean with like it's a really high skill spell. If you're saying like, oh, that's way too stressful for me, just go again with the 2 freezes, which works totally fine as well. I should have actually, if you're wondering what I should have done differently, I should have actually instead use the overgrowth on the ground expo, the eagle, and the monolith, because that would have been way better, and the eagle artillery would have not shot onto my super dragons. I think that would have been more efficient. Otherwise, well, that's pretty much it. Let me know what your best use cases are. Let me know if you would agree with those super dragon armies, where I think it's like the best super dragon armies right now in the game if you want to get some nice 3 stars. And otherwise, as always, thank you so much for watching. I wish you guys back tomorrow with the next class video. Until then, see ya and bye bye.